Hi, Jim Murphy, Elite Style Massage. Strange title for a video today, the shoulder injury that isn't a shoulder injury. I get a lot of calls from people that have initially think they've injured their shoulder. So I get the call, hi Jim, we've been fighting, boxing, martial arts training, weight training, you know, these sorts of things is what I get the call from throwers. I treat athletes that throw. And they'll hurt their shoulder, and you know it hurts when they use the shoulder most of the time. You know the movement that they were doing that they've injured it on, which is normally a sport or training, it's hurting all the time when they're doing that. So they'll kind of explain the symptoms to me. I'll say, what were you doing? They'll say, well, I was throwing, or I was doing some jiu-jitsu or whatever, wrenching their arms back. And they'll go through what their symptoms are, and I'll say to them, right, I've got a feeling that you've injured your bicep tendon, not your shoulder. No, it's my shoulder, definitely my shoulder, 100% it's my shoulder. And normally they've Googled it and they'll come back with, yeah, I think I've injured my rotator cuff is the thing they'll come back with, because people become Google hypochondriacs and you know, you look at the symptoms there. The most common shoulder injury is a rotator cuff injury. That is the most common shoulder injury, and I treat lots of those also. The bicep tendon is different. As soon as I get them in front of me, they'll book in and come and see me. As soon as I get them in front of me, I'll get my thumbs on the injured side and I'll kind of press into the front of the shoulder, and they'll go, oh yeah, shoulder. It's definitely bicep tendon. So a little bit of anatomy for you. The bicep, the head of the bicep, the bicep, the tendon for the biceps, or tendons for the biceps, they sit in a groove at the top of the humerus there. And that tends to get inflamed. So it's not actually a shoulder injury, it's a bicep tendon injury, but it feels like the shoulder. And the reason it does, as soon as I put my arm back to do either a throwing event or any kind of weight training, like stretching my arms behind my head, or a bench press maybe, martial arts where they're wrenching their arms back, as soon as you're stretching that tendon across that shoulder, across that top of that humerus bone there, if it's inflamed and you've injured it, it kind of really hurts. It really does hurt, and it will hold you back, you know, if you're trying to push on with a sport or training. Even not doing a sport or training, even just putting your shirt on, or even reaching behind to put your seatbelt on, or reaching behind you for something, coming down the stairs, you could grab the banister. You know, it's a real nasty injury, and it does take a little bit of time to recover. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to help speed up the recovery process for this injury. I've done it a few times myself over the last 30 years of training, and you know, prior to that doing martial arts and athletics and things like that. So it is quite a common one, and it's one that does get misdiagnosed all the time because of how it does feel like it's the shoulder. So like I said, if you've got a bicep tendon injury, if I did any kind of movement like this, where you're sort of stretching that tendon for that bicep across that bone, it's going to hurt. So the first thing we can do for this is, if it's in the first 48 hours when you feel like you've tweaked it, you can ice it. I'm always a fan of using ice as an anti-inflammatory. I think I've said before on other videos that adults tend to forget about ice for themselves as an anti-inflammatory. They will do it on children, the kids are running, or the nieces and nephews have banged their head, or their elbows swollen up. Adults know to put ice on it, and then it takes the swelling down, but they don't do it on themselves. They'll get an injury and they'll twist their knee, or their shoulder hurts or something like that. Ice is always great in the first 48 hours because any inflammation, it will really help reduce the inflammation and help speed up the recovery process. I like to do deep tissue icing, which for me, in my advice to clients, is 15 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 4 times. That's deep tissue icing. Put a film on or read a book or something, because it's really boring. Like that time drags, it really does. But you know, do it and persevere with it, because it does really help reduce the inflammation. After the 48 hours, you should see a reduction if there is noticeable inflammation. A lot of the time with a bicep tendon, you won't actually see it as inflammation, but you'll just feel that it's raging, it's inflamed, you know. And certainly if you touch it, if you get your finger in there and rub it, you're gonna, you know, straight away it'll make you wince. You literally know you've done it. Like I said, I've done it on numerous occasions myself. It is a real tricky one to recover because it's so easy to re-injure it. You know, you've injured it training or doing a sport or a job. You forget, and you go to put your shirt on, or you go to reach behind you and put a seatbelt on or anything like that, and you feel like you're back to square one with it. So it's the process of it getting inflamed, it shortens a little bit. Sometimes if people don't do certain movements with training, for instance, if you were not used to doing a bench press and suddenly you change to dumbbells or an incline press or something, and it's just changing how much that bicep tendon is stretching in that glenohumeral groove at the top of the humerus there. I last injured my bicep tendon doing wide grip chins that I hadn't done for a couple of years. I've been doing lat pull downs and bent over rows and all the other exercises. I hadn't done wide grip chins, and I think I've done a set of 8 repetitions, and on the 8th rep, I just overstretched at the bottom. I just let myself go to the bottom and completely relax, which I never do, and just that extra stretch, and I felt like I tweaked it, and then the following day it was bad, and I thought, oh great, I've injured my bicep tendon. So if you're watching this and you have injured a bicep tendon, you'll know what I'm talking about. If this is the first time, we really need to help speed up the recovery. So ice, first 48 hours is great. You're gonna need to do a little bit of self-massage. Now, I'm not a massive fan of self-massage. That's my job. And you never quite do massage yourself. There's chapters in books about self-massage that you can do. You never do it like someone else is gonna do it and really get in there and do what's required, because you're not gonna wanna inflict that much discomfort, don't want to say pain, discomfort onto your body. But like I said, I'll always rather get someone else to do it. But the bicep tendon is one of the few things that I would say that it is worth doing some self-massage into. So for the injured arm, prop your arm up with a cushion or on the side of a chair, like if you're sitting on a sofa or sitting on a chair at night. Prop the arm up because you want it shortened. You don't want to lengthen it and stretch it and then rub into it. You're just not going to get in there properly. So shorten the arm by putting your arm on a cushion or a pillow. Get your thumb or get your fingers, 2 fingers, and just get into it and just do some gentle friction across, and you'll feel it twanging like the string of a guitar. Twang it, get in there, rub it around. That is it's going to aggravate it a bit, and it's going to make it a little bit inflamed. So you might want to do some icing after this, but do it for a couple of days. Really try and soften up the structures in there. Just stop it being as fibrotic, and that will really help sort of soften the area up. Then the other thing you're going to need to do is stretching. Now, ideally, you want to put your arm on the flat of, your palm on a flat of a wall like that. So you're stretching this whole bicep and bicep tendon across the front of that shoulder like that. So again, just put your palm flat on the wall like that. Turn your head away and just really feel it stretching, and you will feel it. If you've injured your bicep tendon, even just doing this, putting your arm out to the side and doing that with your hand backwards, you'll probably feel it twanging. The nerve will twang across here anyway. You'll probably just feel where you're slightly stretching that. So we need to get a good stretch on that. So that's another one you can do. And then a more intense one, once you're further along with the recovery process, is if you get, if you're in a gym and there's a bar, ideally a Smith machine or power rack. I wouldn't recommend using a set of freestanding squat stands like these because they'll topple forward. You want something you can kind of lock into. A Smith machine would be ideal. Put the bar just below your bum cheeks, okay? Hold on to the bar sort of just outside of your body, either side of your bum, and then just kneel down like that with one knee to the floor, like a lunge. Try and get that other knee to the floor, and you'll really feel this stretching in the front of that bicep tendon there, and you're going to hold that for 2 minutes. You can either do it with hands over or like that. Like that, you're going to get a little bit more of a stretch. But yeah, just really kind of get that stretch going through the front of the shoulder. Okay, so that's a really intense one. And you're going to do that for 2 minutes. It's painful, it will go. That stretch alone at the end, doing that for 2 minutes, will get rid of it very quickly. If you don't do these things, you're going to have a bicep tendon injury for a while, like spraining an ankle. It's just one of them injuries that does take a long time to recover. So, it's up to you to really try and speed up the process. If you're looking at this video, it's probably because you've got a bicep tendon injury and you might have had one of these before. It's just a bit of useful information there for you. Anti-inflammatories can help. I'm not medically trained, so I can't advise you to do that. But a lot of my successful clients, they do anti-inflammatories for 10 days. Do what it says on the packet. That with ice is a really good thing to do. So a little bit of advice for you there, a few tips for you there. Any questions, I'll put my email address in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.